Hello, chismosas y chismosos, and welcome back to Bay Area Housewife of True Crime. We are at part 2 of the Marcy Renee Conrad case. As a reminder, topics may be triggering. Viewer and listener discretion is strongly advised. The people mentioned are innocent until proven guilty in court. With all that being said, grab your hot Cheetos and let's dive back into today's case. Marcy Conrad was a white girl and her killer was black. Those are the facts of the case. The farther you get from San Francisco, the less people of color you see. It is said that Anthony Jacques Broussard was the only black kid in his group of friends. Some articles pride themselves in saying that race was never a factor of blame in this case. Although the kids acted cool, calm, and collected while poking and probing at Marcy's dead body, some would later say they would have flashbacks of her corpse during class. One of the many spectators, named Kirk Rasmussen, was sentenced to 3 years in a juvenile center for covering up Marcy's body, aka being an accessory after the fact. Although only one of the killer's friends were taken into custody for being an accessory after the fact, Milpitas Police Sergeant Ron Isley said that he was only 4 or 5 who tried helping the killer by covering Marcy's corpse with leaves. The kids viewed Marcy's dead body the day after the murder and again the next day. It wasn't until 2 days later when a General Motors employee came across Marcy's cadaver by the Calaveras Reservoir in Milpitas, California, that he notified the police, and that's when also the viewings of her body finally stopped. All Marcy had on was a brown tank top and socks. Milpitas High School principal Charles Perotti said the following to the press in November of 1981. It shocked the vast majority of kids on this campus. What happened is a tragedy. So shocked were the faculty of the school of Milpitas High School that they took that Thanksgiving holiday break to examine the school's curriculum to see where they could insert some lessons on human values, rights, and responsibilities. The principal also said that he resented any implication that the people of Silicon Valley were more callous than others. That is a quote. Milpitas High School also had a smoking section at the time. This is not prevalent in today's day and age, but back then, the more I research cases in the 80s, the more I see how normal it was. Next thing you know, we're going to see a vaping section at these schools. Just kidding. Let's not. Teachers at Milpitas High School reported shock when at least 8 students told them that Jacques had led them to Marcy's dead body. Later articles report at least 13 kids. When news about this case first broke in print, November 24th, 1981, UPI USA article reported a high school senior named Peter Metler said, and I quote, "They were stupid not to say anything. It was a murder. I think most kids would have told," unquote. In February of 1982, 25-year-old Glenn Bunting, a reporter for the Mercury News, was handed 60 days in prison for refusing to answer questions surrounding Marcy's murder. He had immersed himself in the lives of the kids involved. He went to parties and they told him things. When asked in court about the case, he would only confirm things he had already published and not any new juicy details. Although he had hired a criminal defense attorney, Glenn Bunting said he was prepared to do his time rather than provide the court with never before seen information. Judge Wayne Kanemoto charged him with contempt during a preliminary hearing when Glenn wouldn't give up his free press privileges. Glenn refused to name the people he knew to be present at the spectacle viewings of Marcy's corpse. Glenn also refused to say how many interviews he had conducted and whether he had reviewed his notes prior to taking the stand. Both the prosecution and the defense were livid that the reporter would not testify to their liking, as they both believed that his testimony was crucial to the case. The murder trial finally commenced. Psychiatrist Peter Siegel reported that the killer had admitted to being romantically involved with Marcy just months before killing her. The psychiatrist also added that to the killer, his deceased mother was an extremely sensitive topic, so sensitive that after Marcy made a joke about it, he grabbed her by the throat but did not intend to unalive her. The killer is described as having antisocial characteristics, lack of remorse, and substance abuse disorder. The autopsy report confirmed that Marcy had been raped and murdered via strangulation. Jax would later admit to having sex with Marcy's corpse after he killed her, aka necrophilia. When the press asked prosecutor Alan Noodleman why the rape charges were dropped as part of a plea bargain, he responded that under the law, you cannot rape a dead person.